Okay, we're going to try and take a video of the whole process here of drawing a portrait. So you're going to start off, as always, just by drawing the shape of the head. I have this here to check my work. So I'm going to start with what I can see of the face, which is her chin. And I'm going to go ahead and work my way around her chin, down here, sharp angle. She's got a fairly long and oval face, and then I can check what I've done with my, okay, looks alright, looks fine. It's okay if the top part of her head is a little bit taller because she has lots of hair. Next, what I want to do is I want to draw in the lines that go halfway down, really lightly, halfway across, and then we're going to break it up into quarters from there. Do the same thing right here. I go right down the center of her nose, between her eyebrows, halfway across, her eyes are right there, and into quarters. I can check my work. Looks about right. Okay, so the first thing we draw is our nose, and we're actually gonna go right up here above this line, and we're gonna measure and see how wide is her nose. So a little less than a third across her face. So I'm just gonna guess to start, and then I can check. It looks like it's a little less than a third, maybe it's a little too wide. I'll bring it in over here. Okay, just to make sure her nose is accurate, I'm gonna add in what I can see of her nostrils, and then the center portion that's slightly below. Okay, so now that I have the width of her nose, I'm going to put in her eyes. So if I go straight up from the side of the nose, I see that it lines up with the corner of her eyes, and her eyes are about on this line, halfway line. So I go up, I draw. I want to take note of this distance here. I don't want her eyes to be too small or too large. And that's about right. Okay, and do the other eye, go straight up from the nostril onto that line. Looking at this space here to check if that's about the right width of her eye. Okay, now that I have the outlines of her eyes, I'm going to add in her iris. You're always looking for this white space in the eyes. That tells you about how large the iris should be. Remember, you always want your irises to be round, not straight up and down, because that will give you a scary snake eye impression. Okay, don't forget tear ducts in the corner of her eye, both sides. Okay, and we need eyelids, which is that line right above. Some people's eyelids are more pronounced than others. Your picture may not have any eyelids. You're just drawing what you see. Okay, after we have the basic eye shape there, I'm actually going to come down and we're going to do the mouth, because if we come straight down from our iris, we should see that that's where the corners of the mouth is. So I go straight down from my iris. The top of my lip is the same distance below the line as the base of my nose was above that line. That's telling me where my lips are. And then I'm going to go all the way to this little dot I've put, and that's where the mouth ends. Okay, she's smiling, so it's always helpful to add a little triangle at the tips, which sort of gives the impression that she is in fact smiling. Go straight across, come up, and then I can add her lower lip. Okay. Alright, so I have the basic shape of the face. Next we're going to do eyebrows, hair, and then we're going to add some context to her face so it's not floating by giving her a neck and shoulders. So to do her eyebrows, I'm actually going to look at the corner of her eye here. Notice the space of this shadow. And I'm going to go straight up to see where the eyebrow is going to start. So it's right about here. And always look at the bottom of the eyebrow. How close is it to your eyelid? Here it's pretty close. So I'm just going to draw in a basic shape. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to get all the little hairs, and we're just trying to put in a place so we know when we go to add in our pastels, we have an idea of where to color in our dark shadows. It doesn't need to be perfect at this point. Just putting in a marker. Okay, good enough. Okay, next we're going to add in her hair. Okay, usually the hairline is right along this third quarter. We're going to check that here. Her hairline, if you can see, goes a little bit above that line. Okay, but it does definitely come around her face here. So I'm going to go a little bit above that line based on what I see here. Okay, at the top, notice that it comes down quite quickly. And then it's really close to her eyebrow here. So that is what I'm going to draw in. And it kind of comes around and frames her face. You don't need to do every hair. All we're really looking at here is the shape of that hair. This one actually goes over her eyebrow. So that's what I'm going to draw. Comes out, comes around her face. Okay, so I have where her hair is on her face, and now you're going to draw the outline of her hair around her face. So one thing I'm going to check here, how far does her hair go above her actual head here? And it's actually, it's a fair bit. So I'm going to check that with mine. And it's way up here actually. So her hair is quite tall compared to her face. And try to check this space so we know that this is the line we've drawn. How much further is the outline of her hair from that line? And that'll sort of help you make sure that your hair is not too big or too small. And this is pretty important if you are drawing a female, because that really helps to give the impression of their face. Okay, so I got the basic outline. Now I'm going to look at the neck. Okay, because her hair is coming in so much here, you can't really see where her hair begins and her neck starts. So I'm just going to go from where I see with color. So if I see this area right here where it's a little bit lighter, it's actually right up in line with her mouth. So that's where I'm going to start her neck. So it kind of comes down. This one is a little further out. Okay, looks actually almost like it's with her eye. So that is where that one is going to start. Remember, you're just drawing what you see. So if you don't see something, don't draw it. I'm going to make her, looks like she's got a collared shirt on. So I'm going to add in that collar, what I can see of it. And her hair is actually coming down over her shoulders. So I'm going to just draw what you see. Okay, she's got a little necklace on. Maybe I want to put in the impression of that. Might be something that's important to her. Okay, and then this is where, after you have the basics put on, you're always going to check your work. So that's why we use this transparency. Okay, I'm going to just do a basic outline of the things I see. Okay, just basically, it's not going to look wonderful on this transparency. In fact, it'll probably look a little bit creepy. Do her hair, her shirt, her neck. Okay, so I have the basic features here, and I'm going to check them with what I've drawn. Okay, so I can see from here to here, I don't know if you can see that, but her eyes are a little bit too tall. So if I were you, rather than erase all your work, having to erase all your work, I would actually, it's important to check your work as you go. So because we are going for accuracy, I'm going to move her eyes down because that is what I see okay. Let's check that before we move on. It's a little better. It looks like her eye could be a little bit more that way. It's fine. And just add that over there. Okay. Now is the time to check your work before you add in pastels. Okay. Check how her eyebrow is probably also needs to get moved down. It's fine. Move it down, which is going to change where her hair is, because remember we put our hair in based on the eyebrow. So once you make one change, you want to make sure you are adjusting that. Okay, let's do the other side. Okay, coming up. Cross, checking that space. Okay. Let's check that eye. Okay, it's about right. Putting in our iris, tear ducts, and eyelid. Okay, maybe that iris is a little too large. You want to make sure your irises are pretty even, otherwise you know you're going to have maybe a little bit of a scary face here. Okay, now we're going to put in her eyebrow, just the shape. Okay. All right, let's check our other features. So we have the eyes and the nose are good. Let's check the mouth. So it looks like my mouth is a little too low. As you guys can see, mine is there and there's one up there. So we're actually going to move the mouth up. Don't be afraid to erase. Okay, and if you want to avoid erasing, check as you go. You notice I didn't check as I went, so that's why I'm having to do corrections now. Okay. Lips. Alright, now let's check that. Okay, looks like we got the lips, nose, eyes, her hair, neck, and shoulders. Okay, so that is the basic drawing. Before you do pastel, you want to make sure you erase all these stray lines, such as your crosses, okay, anything that you're not really going to want to use for your drawing. And the next step will be adding color.